episode of Supportive Advice Live. Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? I hope the answer is yes, because it is time for another episode of Supportive Advice Live. Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? I hope the answer is yes, because it is time for another episode of Supportive Advice Live. Hello, hello. Can everyone Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Supportive Advice Live. Here with me, I have my moderator. I also have my crew, my teammate, my friend, Mr. Machismo. Dante, what's been going on with you? Johnny come lately. What's been going on with you?
Johnny come lately.
I knew that would get you talking.
Johnny Appleseed.
So it's good to have you. In case you missed your introduction, this is everybody, Mr. Machismo, aka Dante, again, part of my crew and also my friend. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Dante, have you seen this 50, and I want to specify 50 50 section TikTok series, Who the F Did I Marry, by Reesa Teesa?
I have not seen it, but
Woo!
I have vicariously lived through my Facebook friends as they've given a lot of indications that it's off the chain, as they say. And I don't know if I could commit 50. I almost said snapshot. I don't know if I could commit 50 TikTok moments because it sounds like a lot,
It's
but it sounds great.
50, it's 50 10-minute moments. So essentially, it is a 7-hour video.
Oh yeah, I knew it was some. Oh yeah, I can't do that. But it sounds
Okay,
interesting though.
Kelly.
But I kind of have got the gist that it is so dramatic and crazy that the shock value is what's getting all the likes. It kind of makes me think I'm in the wrong profession.
So here's the thing. There's a thing about TikTok anyway, right? Where people are thumbing around trying to, you know, get into the business that people are displaying. However, this takes it to a new level, right? Because she's talking about this guy, and it's one of those things where she draws out the story quite a bit. Like it's very, what I would say, content driven, right? And so for a person like myself, it was kind of hell. It was a version of hell. Listening to the same details over and over again. And one might say, but you're a therapist. Don't you listen to the same things over and over again? Not really, right? And not and not for free either. So with that being
Fact.
said, okay,
Fact.
I was like, people, they live and they make progress. New things happen, you know. And so there's never the exact same rendition of something or the same perspective, the same of anything when I'm talking to my clients on a regular basis, right? But with this, she's just telling the same story over 50 different sections. So it's, hey, this happened. And then you go to the next section. Remember when I said this happened? Yes, because it was like legit the last session, right? And so I'm trying to keep the mindset that she's doing this because maybe they were filmed within a couple days of one another. Maybe they were filmed a week apart. I don't know, right? However, I watched them back to back. Nobody applauding, nothing, no cheers, nothing. I feel like I
I mean
deserve some
that
type
is
of
a
pat on the
accomplishment.
back.
That is an accomplishment. If you're talking about 50 10-minute sections, that is
Yes.
over five. Man, that is, I can't fathom. That sort of thing because that not on purpose. No, I done went down a rabbit hole many a times watching all type of funny videos and some cooking videos, and I could do it indirectly, but
I mean,
knowing I'm signing up for the long haul,
funny I can do,
uh,
Dante. Funny I can do, Mr. Machismo. It wasn't funny. First off, it was not funny. So let me give you the gist, right? And also to you, Beatnik, thank you so much for listening. Hey, Kelly, I see that you're on here. I think there's somebody else on here, but this text is small and I can't read it. So what is it? Oh, okay. Evangelist Irfan Maurice. Oh, hey, Maurice. Oh, Maurice is watching. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. So,
what up, Maurice?
yes, thank you for watching. He is absolutely awesome. He has an amazing podcast called Hope Rising, and he has some just great guests, awesome graphics.
Awesome.
He is great. So after you finish watching my podcast live, of course, check out his podcast Hope Rising because he does an excellent job. So anyway, the way that it goes is she met this guy because of course there's always a guy, right? And who the f did I marry? There has to be a guy, right? Or you know what? I take that back. That was assumptive of me. It could be a lady. It could have been a lady.
We was doing good. Well, anyway, I guess.
Hey.
In
we
today's,
we
yeah,
love
we
everyone, and we let others live their life as they would like to, because I don't care enough to hate it at all. Now, with that being said, there's a lady, there is a male, and apparently he is something. They meet online. Red flag number one. And I'm not hating. I'm not hating to, those people who do meet people online. You can find a healthy partner online. However, it might be a Build-A-Bear. I'm just saying. It's probably going to be a Build-A-Bear. I mean, I found the person I'm with online, on Facebook. He messaged me out of the blue. And Build-A-Bear he was. So, with that with that being said, you get real quiet whenever I talk about Michael, but it's okay. I love your loyalty. So,
no
um,
habla English.
oh no, I apply English. Huh? So anyway, she meets this guy. I'm almost as bad as her, and he seems great, and they're gonna go out on a date, and he's telling her all this information, right? Oh, my brother lives here, and my sisters live here, and I'm from this
What?
place, and yeah, all talking to her on the first conversation. He's like just spilling his whole life story. So here's where I want
Red flag.
exactly. Here's where I want to say pause, right? Because as a therapist, one thing that I can say to people is whenever someone's giving you too much content, something's typically wrong. And
Stage 5 clinger.
so, like when anybody comes into, my office, if they're giving me way too much content, like stuff that just is completely unnecessary, 9 times out of 10 is because there's something else that they're covering up. So this guy gave her a lot of content about a lot of different things, said that he played football and arena football, which is a thing. And he was in California and he was married, but his ex, cheated on him and broke up with him, and his ex lives in California, and she has 2 kids that don't belong to him, but he's really close to that. I mean, when I say he's poured it on, he's poured it on. So she's like, oh, cool, he's a sharer. All right, cool. So they go out on a date at the Cheesecake Factory because, why not? That's a great spot, right? And so they go for cheesecake, right? Her tire blows out on the way. Okay? And so he meets her where she is. He helps her get her car to a place where they can replace the tire. And then afterwards, he pays for the tire. Now, this is what looks like a green flag. He paid for the tire, right? And then they actually went out to the Cheesecake Factory. Now, after all of that, I might have said, you know what, maybe another day, but they were both some troopers, and they wanted to have this date, so they went out to the Cheesecake Factory, and he's telling her all his business and everything, and then they start talking about like purpose for dating, which I want to say is awesome. Okay, this is a great thing to do. If you're dating someone, put your purpose on the table. Okay, that's not. If you think that putting your purpose on the table is going to scare the person away, then they're probably not for you anyway.
Facts.
Let
These are facts.
your purpose known, because what happens is people have what's called unspoken expectations. And so they have all of these things that they want, but they don't tell the other party. And then they get upset and they get resentful within the relationship or situationship because the partner hasn't all of a sudden guessed what they want, which is unfair to the partner. And when it comes to consent, because consent is very important when it comes to relationships, you have to be just as clear about what you want and where you're headed as the person that you want to date, right? And so just keep that, keep that in mind. So she put her purpose on the table. He put his purpose on the table. And they both said that they were courting for marriage. Fast forward, because you have to. You just have to. Fast forward. COVID hits. Da 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 da. Trauma bond, right? And so they're talking about where they want to quarantine. Now, he's told her that he works for this, like, big company or whatever, and they are going to put him up in a house. But for now, they have him in a studio apartment. Not nice.
Lies.
Not nice studio apartment. And I'm just like, nah. I've gone on business trips, and they put me up in nice hotels. They're not going to put you up. If this is a big company, they're not going to put you up in some rinky-dink apartment while they're waiting on this house to come through. Nevertheless, they decide that they're going to quarantine at her house because she has like a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse. And of course, he wants to get in on that, right? And so hey Carno, hey Joshua, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat. If you want to be a caller, you can always do that. Press that call in button, and we'll hear what you have to say within reason. With that being said, they quarantine together. Now, mind you, this dude is paying all of her household bills. She's paying her own car note, which is reasonable, right? She's paying probably her own cell phone bill, but he is paying all the household bills. Clap, clap, clap for this dude. Like, that's what's up. That was what looked like a green flag. Hey, he seems to be financially stable. He's able to pay all of these bills. Yay him, right? And so then they start thinking about that they want to get married. But before they get married, they want to buy a house. And so we fall back on this story that he tells her about they're getting him a house, right? The company's getting him a house. So now she's like, okay, cool. Well, you could just get the house for you and me, right? It's going to be our house now. And so they're like, yeah, great. Now, we both know that it would not be a 50-part series had the house came in part 2. So, there was no house.
I was waiting on that other shoe to drop.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been a while, Cardinal, but I am glad to see you on here. So, yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because he gives her all of these excuses, all of these reasons why the house isn't going through, and all of this jibber jabber, essentially.
Reasons.
And then he lies to her because the house ends up being in contract, right, with somebody else, some other people who actually are serious about buying a house. And he says to her, it's in contract with them. Now, I will say, there's a lot of things that it was hard for her to confirm because it was COVID. They were doing a lot of virtual tours. She really, she was kind of coming in on his coattails as far as she was concerned because he was already supposed to be getting a house. So she didn't want to ask a lot of questions, blah, blah, blah. But here's what I'm saying. Ask questions. Once it went from the thing that he was doing to the thing that you both were doing, understand your value within a relationship. You can ask questions. You can ask questions, and you can have doubt, and you can ask for confirmation. If you don't feel like you can do these things within your relationship, it's because you're devaluing yourself or you're attributing too much value to your partner. So just keep that in mind. So this whole time, she's not asking any questions, right? House falls through. She ends up getting pregnant. Within
Of course.
some of that time period, it was kind of all over the place, right? And so she gets pregnant, and then unfortunately she has a miscarriage, and you said or just happens to get pregnant. Well, shit, she got pregnant. We're talking about Reesa Teesa. Anybody who doesn't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about Reesa Teesa. Um, and if you don't know who Reesa Teesa is, get out from under the rock that you have been living under and join society. Now, with that being said, um, she gets pregnant. She has a miscarriage. He's there for her. She has the miscarriage, but then she has to go and have surgery, right? Because everything didn't pass the way it was supposed to. I'm not going to get into graphic details. This is not a medical show. This is a therapy show.
Thank the Lord.
So he didn't show up on time. So he volunteered his sister. Now I'm just going to fast forward. And I'm just letting you guys know before I even get into it. There's going to be spoiler alerts. Spoiler. So if you plan on sitting down for 7 hours and watching this series, you might want to click off now because I'm about to just tell. I'm just going to tell stuff. So fast forward, this sister that he wanted to pick her up from the hospital did not even exist. She did not even exist. You know who she was?
An ex.
An ex-girlfriend. Oh, and the plot thickens, right? Because sometimes we lean on people to say no, right? And so we'll offer something up hoping that the person says no, right? So he offers this sister up that she's never met before, and she's like, no. I'm not gonna have this random person pick me up and they go back and forth, but he knows she's gonna say no, right? And she says no, and good for her because there would not have been anybody coming to pick her up. So it unravels. Apparently, there's another house that falls through. There's another pregnancy. That pregnancy falls through, and they're just 2 for 2 at this point. Nothing has worked out, right? Within the meantime, in between time, they get married. Don't ask me why. At some point, though, I do want to point out something. She said that she knew that the house was in contract. The first house was in contract with other people. However, she liked this dude, and she wanted to allow him to get out of the lie. So when
that red flag was pink.
That red flag was pink. And this is exactly what when I did the series Bagos with the students at Cuyahoga Community College around right after Valentine's Day. I was talking to them about setting their standards, right? And how sometimes you can start off with your standards very, very high, but then the more desperation creeps in, the lower your standards become. And this is a natural thing, right? Because all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe I'm not worth what I'm asking for. And if you're out there thinking that right now, I want to just tell you, you are. You're worth exactly what you're asking for. And I hope that resonates with someone. So she said that she knew he was lying, but who else was she going to get? He was good enough. And so she went with it anyway. And this is a big problem. There's one thing when there's unreasonable expectations. I want this guy to fly. He needs to have wings. He needs to quack like a nut. Like, okay, that's not all that stuff's not gonna happen. And if you see a guy with wings, we would be running, not dating. I would be running, not dating. So, nevertheless, she had basic expectations. I want a man who cares about me, who has a steady income, who wants to be with me and wants to take care of me or build something with me. These things are not unheard of. But and then she wanted the person to tell the truth. But that was too much. The telling the truth part, that was too much to ask for. No, people, it's not. It's not too much to ask for. But she settled. And at that point, this is where a lot of the comments came in where they were saying, well, you're accountable. You are subscribing to this victim role, but you're accountable because you knew somebody said, Joshua said, telling the truth is a lot to ask. Yeah, her ex-husband thought so too, which is why eventually he was her ex-husband. So with that being said, it was a lot. It was a lot going on. He was lying. He wasn't telling the truth about anything, not even his name. Not even his name. Okay? Not even his name. So, time goes on, and they're married, and, well, they ain't looking at houses no more, because why? She married him, right? And now he got her going from one BMW place to another BMW place, talking about he's going to buy her a BMW for her birthday or some type of something, right? Like, he just made these real outlandish promises. And he has her sitting in the BMWs, y'all. Like, just sitting there, test driving them. Going to one after another, getting her hopes up. At some point, I think I would have said, I like this one. Buy this one now. Or it's going to be a problem. Because if that's what we're doing. You're not going to take me to 7 different BMWs. But nevertheless, she enjoyed the experience. She had the experience. And she already knew that he was a liar. So at some point, she was just choosing to believe things that sounded good. And then he told her that he was going to take her to London. It was just a mess. It was a mess.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, if you see this guy, right, because this guy is on TikTok. His name is, I'm not going to say his government name because I'm not going to call him out like that. But the name that was given in the TikTok was Legion. So
what?
I know, right? Legion.
What? Oh, you can't make this up.
You can't. Oh, man. Legion. I'm like, shouldn't that have said something to you? All by itself, that should have said something to you. But anyway, when you see this guy don't look like he have no money. He don't look like he have no money. Now, I'm not saying judge a book by a cover. Cardinal is Reesa, Teesa, and it's on. It's a TikTok series. It's a 50-section TikTok series, 7 hours. It's a lot. And but if you guys are looking at Reesa, is from Reesa Teesa. So, and it's called "Who the F Did I Marry?" Just so you guys know. So with that, it is just a mess. It's a mess after a mess after a mess. Now all of a sudden she's going through his phone. She's seeing that he's talking to other women, that he is, sexting and all of this other jazz. And she's like, I didn't really care about that. Because he was lying so much that the cheating, like she was numb to the cheating. And I want to say that this can happen. When you are experiencing I'll call this a trauma for her, right? Because this is a traumatic experience where somebody is consistently lying to you, getting your hopes up, and disappointing you over and over and over again. I mean, essentially, he's just playing with you. because he knew he didn't have the money the whole time. So, but when you go through something and you get your hopes up and then you get disappointed and you get your hopes up and you get disappointed, and this happens as a pattern, eventually a part of you will, or can, I'll say can, be numbed to this person and their actions. You know, essentially your responses become depressed. You know, there's a level of hopelessness and helplessness within this scenario, because now I'm married to this person. I get that he's a liar. Nothing he's saying is coming to pass. And so she's just numb at this point, right?
Good Lord. Man, that's crazy.
It's a mess. It's a whole mess. And so then she says that she was actually grateful at one point because she saw that he was cheating again, with what she said was a prostitute. And she said that it was a legit prostitute because there were prices, how much for this, how much for that, etc. And she said that she was actually thankful because she felt like that God would forgive her for divorcing a man that was unfaithful to her, but would not forgive her for divorcing a man that essentially had falsified everything in anything that he was or was doing, right? And I want to take a moment to say, I don't know what God everybody serves, and it's not for me to know, but I hope that no one is serving a God that wants you to be miserable with someone that is lying to you and breaking down your self-esteem and manipulating you every single day. Every day. I'm going to step off my soapbox in a minute, but I will say, do you really think that's what Jesus died for? If you believe in Jesus, if you believe in all of that, which she claims that she was a Christian and she believed in the storyline of Jesus and all of that, if you believe in that, you really think that's what he died for? So that you could be held at this high regard around divorcing someone that is lying and manipulating you? Like, whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna step off my soapbox because, you know, sometimes you got to. But she was excited because he had cheated, and now that was her golden ticket to end the marriage, I guess. He had lied about everything. The girl hired a private investigator at some point. At some point, she had looked up his social security number, and the social security number that he had gave her wasn't the same social security number that she had found on some packet. So it was just nonsense. And he said that he had went to a school in California and that he had played football and all this other type of stuff. And none of that was true. They said that he lived in Georgia, Rhode Island, and some other place. You know what place he didn't live? California. He didn't go to school in California. And then she asked him about it, and she said, I couldn't find any record of you in California. He says, my father paid for me to be a private citizen. What? Are you talking about, sir?
I'm about to say that's a thing.
That's not a thing. Now,
I didn't think it was.
Now you can pay money so that your number isn't listed in like the white pages and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can go to a website for that sort of thing.
Yeah, like you can do that, right? But nah, player, you if you live somewhere and you put your information in to get a apartment or anything, you leave a trail. If there's no trail, guess what, sir? There was no you. How about that? Okay? So she says to him, you lied about, California. And you lied about going to the college. And he's about to get defensive, and she says, just chill. Just don't even worry about it. Play. Don't waste your energy. Because I looked it up. And you didn't go. So there. And she said that his eyes went dead. That he wasn't having serious emotional reactions to anything that she was saying, but his eyes went dead.
Oh, ooh. So to piggyback off of last week, he is a sociopath.
Ah! He is having, or he is exhibiting sociopathic behaviors. Okay.
See,
now
you done learned me.
Yeah, there you go. So and it's chilling because I've seen this. Because a part of therapy is building rapport and all of these, lovely things, right? But it's also a point in order to elevate anybody, you have to confront them where they are, right? If you never confront them where they are, they're never going to progress. So there has been times when I have had to confront a client and their eyes would just bloop. Just would go dead. And so I knew exactly what she was talking about. And that's a scary thing when somebody's eyes go dead like that. Because he didn't care. He didn't care. In all honesty, he wasn't there. After she called that out, he left. I don't know where he went, but he wasn't there. And I've seen that multiple times, and I'm telling you, individuals that can detach from themselves and from reality like that, no.
He went to California for a fat burger.
That's where he must have been an In-N-Out in California. When she was asking him about San Diego, he had went to In-N-Out in California. But it was sad, but it wasn't, because I think that by, what was it, episode 35, 40 or something, that by the time she had said something to him or whatever, we were ready. We were past ready for her to have said something. We were like, can you please move this along? And so people said they were captivated. I was not captivated, but I knew that I wanted to talk about it today on my podcast, so I figured I might as well. I have to watch it. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So she finally confronts him. She tells him, and he's faking some knee injury or whatever at this time. And she said that he's not eating. He's lost a lot of weight. She don't know what's going on. I think maybe he done told somebody that he had cancer, somebody else he was seeing. I don't know what's happening.
Oh.
Because it tracks, right? Like, now
he was
you
moving
losing
on.
all this weight and all this stuff is happening and you hobbling around and you can't work and all this jazz. So I'm like, but that's just me speculating. I don't know what he told anybody. So at some point she talks to his ex-wife, a cousin, a brother, all these different people. And then she finds out that he has the ex-girlfriend who he lied to. He has the ex-wife that he lied to. But then she finds out there was an ex-wife before that ex-wife.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's number 3 instead of number 2. And I'm not counting the girlfriend. She's number 3, the third wife. And
wow.
So, yeah, it's a... I would likely be single by choice for the rest of my life, thanks to my own experience. Yes, that was Carnal's comment, and yes, I don't think he did have anything to lose, at that point. But she told him, she was like, you need to get out. You need to leave. You've been lying. I don't want to do this anymore. You need to leave. And so he doesn't leave because duh, right? Um, and he calls his aunt, who is really his aunt according to the story, and says to her, she says I'm lying to her, and she's putting me out. And I've never lied to that girl. And apparently, for her, this was a breaking point. Because this was one of the first times I think that she had actually saw him lie to someone else about her in front of her face. And
Yeah,
she lost it.
that'll do
She
it.
lost it. She went. She said she had an Angela Bassett moment where she was darting around the room. Anybody seen Waiting to Exhale? Where she was darting around the room. Now this is where she says she snapped, where she separated, or detached in some way from reality. This can happen. It can happen. You know, she didn't hurt the guy or anything like that, but she started screaming and yelling, and I guess she pushed him out or whatever it is that she did. And she was like, you have to go, and she says that she had just lost it. Fast forward, they're not seeing each other anymore. She files for divorce. There is this whole spiel about her talking to the ex-wife, and the ex-wife saying, this is what he does, this is what he did to me. The ex-wife before her wasn't from California. She was from Georgia, which is exactly where they were from. And she said anything that he told you was a lie. I'm like, but that's just like saying a dog barks. We know that. At this point, we're well aware he's not a truth teller. So they have this woman to woman conversation that's supposed to be so great.
Woman to woman.
Right? And I'm just like, I could have had a V8. And if you guys are old enough to know what that means, I'm not explaining it. So she kicks him out and everything. He's gone. They're not speaking, but he keeps trying to call her. She done changed her number. Blah 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 blah. Stuff you do when you break up with somebody. And they get divorced. So the divorce is final. Now he's talking about he wants his stuff back. But he gave her everything in the divorce. What exactly are you asking for, sir?
He want that tire from the first date.
I know. Say that. He like, I want that tire. I want you to pay me back for that Cheesecake Factory. All the bills I paid. I want
the
all.
Tex-Mex egg rolls back pronto.
Yes, I want them all. Give it all back to me. And essentially what he was really asking for was a TV. And some bags of clothes, I guess. I don't know. But the way that the divorce decree was set up was that whatever was in her possession, she kept. Whatever was in his possession, he kept. And they didn't go through splitting up anything else. Because most of the things belong to her anyway. He even went as far as telling her about, like, the daughter of the ex-wife died and all this other stuff, which was not confirmed.
Oh my gosh.
When she talked to the ex-wife, she said, my daughter's fine, but she never told her
Why?
that, yes.
What he said.
Yeah, she never told her what he said because she said that would have just been
It'll freak her out.
Like, but you found her number on, what was it? The marital records. Called her out the blue about this guy that she divorced and said you were married to him, and that wasn't going to freak her out? Just the part about her daughter, huh? Like, understand here. She's already freaked out. Like, what are you talking about? just the daughter thing. So, you know, and this is where boundaries kind of come into play. Okay? You see her number, but what you want to gain from her is more important than respecting someone else's boundaries. She divorced this man. She's not trying to have anything to do with this man. But what you need is more important. And I say that and I bring that to the table because a lot of us are around individuals who prioritize themselves higher than they do us. And then sometimes we become so, I'll just say, so used to it that we start prioritizing that person higher as well. Right? And we start to lose and forget about our worth within a relationship. It's always their thing. It's always what they need. It's always them. Right? And at this point, she has prioritized her curiosity over this person's privacy. Right? And the way that she rationalized it was, well, it was public record. Well, you couldn't have just got her phone number off of the information that was found online. She had to go down there in person and file to get that information. So
Wow.
I'm not backing that rationalization, because anytime anyone's rationalizing to begin with, they already know they did something wrong. Or, I don't like to use the word wrong, but something that does not align with their values. Now, she talks to this lady, blah, blah, blah. She says this dude tells her that he's going to show up at her house. Now, she says this is not a good idea. He wants to show up at her house because he needs his TV. Like, really, dude? At one point, he said he had $650,000 to put a cash offer down on a house. This same dude tripping about a 40-inch television? Nah. But his lie had unraveled so much. At this point, he was just like, well, I'm going to keep it real. I want my TV. You know, I'm like, yeah, maybe if you would have kept it real in the beginning, we wouldn't even be in this situation. But he shows up to the house. The police are there. And apparently he has a warrant out for his arrest. Because why not? And so she says that when he got out the car, he was smaller than she had ever seen him. And she attributed that to him being homeless and not eating. I'm like, whatever is the reason. You know, some people in the comments said, well, it must have been his guilt. Maybe he was guilty. No. If he wasn't guilty after the first house, why would he be guilty after the second one? If he didn't feel any guilt after the first two BMW places that he took her to and had her get behind the wheel, smiling and test driving something he was never gonna buy, why would he feel guilty now? No, he just got caught, and now he's facing consequences. And one of the consequences is being hungry, apparently. So he has lost some weight. He goes to jail. And
he get to eat.
Yeah, 3 square meals, man. Her calling the cops was one of the best things that could have happened to you, bruh. You know, he goes to jail, and then she says that she doesn't see him. She gets a restraining order or something or other, and she doesn't see him anymore after that. Thank
God. Oh my goodness, man, that was exhausting.
And you're welcome, people, for me summing this up for you and saving the agonizing 7 hours that it took for me to watch this series.
Well, you might need a volume after that or something. Ain't that what they
I
call?
needed a nap. That's what I needed after that good
Man, that
night.
is
It was a
wild,
mess. I was
man.
just like, come on. But
That is too much.
she says the signs were there, and she blames herself. My thing is, sometimes you want to believe the best about people. That's not a crime. That's not a crime.
Cry.
It's not a crime. However, it can't be at your own expense. Benefit of the doubt is one thing. But once it got to the point where the house fell through and you knew that he was lying to you, you had talked to the realtor yourself, you knew that this was another couple and he had been lying to you for months while you were pregnant, his
Yeah,
the character is coming out. Now, some people are like, well, he was a jerk. You know, according to a most recent video that she posted, I think she posted it a day or two ago. She says she talked to his brother, and his brother said, I want you to know that we know about him. The family knows that he is sick. And he lists a couple of diagnoses. He said that he had bipolar and schizophrenia. These, these are
apparently.
two.
What?
These are two very specific disorders. Now, interestingly enough, she didn't describe him as someone who went through various moods. She didn't describe him as anyone that was having regular symptoms of mania, like not sleeping, taking on a bunch of tasks all at once, you know. But he did have delusions of grandeur, and that's a symptom of mania as well. Well, what is wrong with me? I can't talk. I need some
The
water. That is a symptom of mania as well.
delusions of grandeur. I like that term.
Yeah, it means that you think that you're bigger and greater than you are, which
I like that
the
term.
begs the question: did he believe his lies? Because there may have been a part of him that was believing some of the things that he was saying, you know, and being, you know, schizophrenia, that's a very serious and dangerous disorder. Now, they didn't say he had paranoid schizophrenia, but you know, he has a schizoaffective disorder. And so, you know, he consistently lies and he lives in his own reality, right? Um, and so they said they knew this and they tried to get him meds. But when he got older, he wouldn't take his meds. And that's the thing. You can't force somebody to take their meds unless they're inpatient, you know. Um, he's sick. One guy said, and I don't remember his name, but this not his show, so I guess it doesn't really matter, right? He said that he called him smart slow. Let me let that sink in for a minute.
I know a lot of. I actually call it a different term. I know a lot of brilliant idiots. That is. There are a lot of brilliant, but that's not to that extent. Not that type of. That's a different dynamic.
And grandeur, yes. And Carnot said we all do that, live in our own unique realities. We all have perspectives, right? Based off of our skew, based off of themes of our lives, right? Traumas that we've gone through, and whether we see the world as safe or unsafe, you know, whether our locus of control is that the world is happening to us versus the world versus us having control of what happens within the world, you know, all of those things. However, this individual drag somebody into his world. And I think that a part of him believed, in all honesty, what he was saying. I really do. Especially if those diagnoses, okay. Especially if those diagnoses were valid. There's a part of him that was believing what he was saying. Because it sounds outlandish, but if somebody can believe that they need to put aluminum foil on their head so that the government can't track their thoughts, it's just as likely for somebody to believe they have money that they don't. And
Dale Gribble.
who?
If you know, you know.
Oh,
Dale Gribble
I don't know
from a
who
show
that
called King
is.
of the Hill.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of
damn!
like
I never knew his last name. I never knew his last
Dale
name.
Gribble. Yeah, he was paranoid with the government. Yeah, that was
Yes, he
definitely
had. He
some
did
of
had a
that.
problem. He was paranoid with the government, but he didn't realize that his son looked just like the Indian dude down the
Was
street. You know what I'm saying? That's your own reality. You want to believe what you want to believe. What's wrong with you? Wait, you guys don't put aluminum foil on your heads? No, I don't. Oh, yeah. I'm reading the comments, and I'm reading them out of
I know
order.
that's funny.
So I was just like, oh, he was being facetious. That's fine. No, we don't.
Facts.
And nevertheless, he believes some of the things he's saying. But when the guy was talking, I think his name was Tony Gaskin, who said he was smart slow. And he described it. He said that he works with individuals with different cognitive delays. And he called them mental retardations. And he said that just because these individuals have cognitive delays doesn't mean that they're not smart and that they don't know how to manipulate people. And so he gave examples of people that he's worked with that will say to him, you know, if you don't do X, Y, and Z for me, when this millions of dollars comes, you're not going to get any of it. And they kind of believe it. A part of them is like believing this story. It becomes their narrative. And I give it to Carnal. We all do it in our own way. You know, we fall into our own narratives. However, I think that this guy, you know, he could have some cognitive delays, because some of the lies that he tells is like something my 8-year-old would say. We went in a plane today, and one of the wings fell off, and you know, like it's some stuff that like is not above 6th grade level. You know, I got $1 billion jillion, but I stay in a studio apartment. That lie don't track.
Spell I cup.
You know,
Shout out to Zachariah.
the lie doesn't
cup.
track. Spell I cup. So you doing these insiders that I don't know what you're talking about. But
Oh, you ain't heard that? He don't let you get I'm about to get him in trouble. Never mind. Nothing.
Nothing indeed. So these lines, they're not tracking. It's kind of like, you know, when my eldest daughter, you know, would lie to me, which was often. It was so often. We love you. Anyway, if you're watching. But she would lie all the time. But the lie, like, all you would have to do was fact check anything she said, and it would just crumble. Like, It wouldn't make any sense. This teacher told me this thing, and I remember one time, I gave her money to buy a coat, and she was supposed to buy a coat, and she did not buy a coat, but she lied and she said she bought a coat, but then there was never a coat. Now this is easy to prove. It's winter. You're outside without a coat. Like 1 + 1 is 2. I mean, unless you Terrence Howard. So with that being, I'm just like, come on,
man.
You know, these things are, it's easy to prove. You can see if a house is in contract with somebody. You can see if somebody has, you know, if you ask them for their code to their bank account, you can see how much money they have. You can see if somebody's working at a prominent company, you can, I don't know, go up to their job and ask for them. I mean, these are just regular things that you can do that doesn't involve you having to hire a private investigator. This regular stuff you can do. It's just regular living things that you can do. And she did none of that.
Regular smuggler.
Regular smuggler. She did none of it. None of that. Now, this same guy.
For that reason,
what were you going to say?
She is extremely culpable. She is extreme, man. She is. This could have been nipped in the butt early.
It could have, but what did I say?
That's the only fault of hers.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest. That's the only.
I get it. I get that, but that is, man, just a little due diligence.
However,
just a little due diligence, not even a lot.
She wanted these things to be true, and that's the biggest problem. She wanted these things to be true. So much so that she ignored
people in hell on ice water. You can't always do what you want.
She ignored obvious signs, and believe it or not, she's not the only person out here doing it. There's girls women doing it, men doing it. People ignore signs. Has anybody ever heard of that song? I don't want to know. If you're playing me, please don't let it show.
Open up my eyes, it's all the sign.
You know, it's like this in this song. He's saying, "I don't want to know." He's literally saying, "I want to live in a reality that makes me feel better." And the reality that makes me feel better is not knowing or pretending not to know that this person is cheating on me. Same difference. People do it all the time.
I hated that song.
It was not one of my faves either.
I didn't understand. I was so confused.
It's unfortunate that people don't value themselves enough to believe that they're worth what they're looking for. And so they don't wait. You know, they don't work on themselves, build themselves as a person and as a brand. And then, you know, believe, you know, that when the right person comes along, they're going to be somebody that can appreciate them and love them and handle their expectations. You know, there was a lot of things that she did, you know, but at the end of the day, he was lying. He was lying, and she divorced him, and now he says he has a Netflix special coming up, and he's been shooting it for 16 days, 17 days, apparently longer than the actual series has been out. So I guess Netflix contacted him before the series came out because they knew the series was going to come out. No. Then he took pictures in he put the Netflix studio background behind himself and said that he was in the Netflix studio. And so then, like, I'm thinking to myself, so this the type of stuff you was falling for, lady? Like, this was, because if this is his best of the best stuff, then, essentially you just wanted to believe it. He showed me documents on a Chase letterhead. Make a phone call. Now I know we in the tech age and we like to text and all that. Make a call. Call someone. Especially once you guys got married, you would have been able to, he said that her names was on each of the bank accounts that he had. She could have called in or something. I don't know. But a part of her wanted to stay in the reality where she was someone that was married. She was with a man that loved her. She found the person she wanted to be with, or that she was going to be with for the rest of her life. And that reality was better for her than saying, I got duped. This dude is lying. And I'm going to be single. But eventually she got there. And good for her. I'm glad. I'm glad that she finally realized at some point that she deserved better. I'm glad. But I hope that she also knows that she's not the only one out there lowering her standards. She's not the only one out there that is not believing in their own self-worth. She's not the only person that's been waiting so long for someone to come and validate her that she started to believe that she wasn't worth the validation. She's not the only one. And so I hope that the lesson that people get from this is that eventually she understood her worth, at least enough to leave. And to realize that it wasn't too much to ask someone to tell the truth. To tell the truth. And so he can go on with his Netflix special. And we'll see how that goes.
That is wild.
We'll see how that goes, right? It was wild. It's trending. I did it.
It's super trending.
I took the plunge. I watched the series. If you guys are going to watch the series, do. But I did spoil it. I will say I told a lot of the stuff there. But I didn't tell everything. But I told a lot of it.
Oh, you told enough.
I told enough.
I thank you.
Yeah.
I ain't got to think about watching it now.
So at least
I know everything I need to know.
So at least when you guys see Reesa Teesa on, the TikTok. Wow. How old am I? I said the TikTok. Guess it's the Facebook and the Instagram too, huh? When you when you see her on TikTok, at least you'll know.
Oh, watch it on Snapface.
Oh. When you see her on TikTok, at least you'll know kind of what she's talking about, because she keeps doing these updates. Apparently somebody decided to sponsor her trip to London since he lied to her about going to London, and so now she gets to go. So there's something she's getting out of exploiting this situation, as just as much as he's getting views and things from exploiting this situation. And then one of his ex-wives jumped on, and she's talking, and she wants to exploit the situation, and it's gonna keep going until people just don't care anymore, which will happen quite soon. And yeah.
Well, that might take a while. People care about the darndest things. It ain't just kids anymore.
I don't know how long it'll take. But I think, 50 segments of a series each one 10 minutes. Nah. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. If anybody else gets the idea to do
Gonna
it,
be a no for me, dog.
just miss me with it. Um, but I wanted to bring it on the show because it had a lot of common things that I see from individuals looking to be in relationships, lowering their expectations. She said that she wanted to be married with someone before she ever lived with someone, but he moved in during quarantine and they weren't married and they were sleeping together, right? And so she completely um put what she wanted or what she believed in and her values on the back burner for the relationship. But if you have to do that, you're not in the right relationship. One of
Facts.
one pastor I like, his name is Michael. Not the Michael but it's another Michael. I can't remember his last name, but he's based out of California.
Michael Todd.
No, no. It's an African American guy, and I used to listen to him, and he would say, "It's not enough that people respect your values or respect your boundaries. You need someone that shares them, because I can respect your boundaries until when." Right? Until it no longer serves me. Then what? But if I share your values, then it means just as much to me as it does to you for these things to occur or not to occur in this case. So just remember that. Yeah, he had some green flags. Most of them was red though. Most of them was red. They was red. And I'm just don't ignore, because one of the things that she said was I had a feeling that something wasn't right. She keeps saying that all throughout the series. I had a feeling something wasn't right. If that's what you feel, ask questions and expect answers.
That's deep.
Expect answers because you deserve that. Relationships are two-sided. And if you don't feel like you are worthy of being in a relationship with someone, that just lets me know that you have not taken the time to build your own self-love. You haven't spent enough time with you. You haven't done enough self-discovery. You haven't learned to love you, which is the first person that you need to love before you can love anybody else. I hope that this speaks to somebody today. I really do. And I appreciate the listeners. I appreciate you, Joshua. I appreciate you, Carnal, Beatnik, Samantha, Dante. I appreciate you, Mr. Machismo. All the people who joined on Facebook and YouTube. Who? Deborah Terry. Catrice. Linda. That's my moderator. He's telling me everybody who joined. That everybody? Nikki? Vicky. Sorry. Linda again?
No, another Linda.
Oh, another Linda.
Linda Duncan.
Okay.
Evans Aban.
Okay. So I'm just gonna blanket thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate you. I'm here on Thursdays at 6ish. And it would be awesome if you guys subscribe to the page, Supportive Advice Live. You'll be able to see all of the videos that we post. And also, if you have questions, please inbox me. I take questions live on air. So if you want your question answered by a licensed marriage and family therapist for free, Put your questions in my inbox. Aquila Wheatley. That's my Facebook. You can also get me Aquila Wheatley at supportiveadvice.com. You can also visit supportiveadvice.com and send me a message via supportiveadvice.com. How many times I'm going to say supportive advice? I'm going to say it again. Supportiveadvice.com. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys. Please subscribe. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I'm out.